Welcome to New Business in Later Life, where we prove that it's never too late to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams. You will meet remarkable individuals who launch successful businesses over 50, sharing their stories, challenges, and enthusiasm. Your host, Ildiko, is a former social housing professional, textile designer, and teacher who described herself as a life artist. She is now a property professional, business network host, and facilitator of the Entrepreneurial Club. Subscribe now to hear these inspiring stories every week.
I believe that period also bore a few books.
I published 3 books in that period, but I've written a total of now, I think 18. I think there's 18.
Oh my word.
I will be publishing them over the next while. You and I did have a conversation the one day about
we did a little bit while ago,
a
indeed.
particular idea I have. I was going to start it, but I've put that on the back burner because something else came up, something more exciting. And so, I'm running with that at the moment. The books, they will develop over the next sort of 6 to 8 months. But my first book that I wrote, I wouldn't say it's a very good book. I'd say it's good. The content is good, but I've sold over 20,000 copies of it.
Well, there you go.
So
it must be, so the content must be appreciated, even if you feel that the writing itself may not be to the standard that you later achieved.
Well, so being dyslexic, I didn't, I could have written better.
Even when you are dyslexic, if you put out good content, then don't you just have proofreaders who put that bit right?
Yeah, you do normally have proofreaders. You normally have editors and that sort of thing.
Yes. So I would imagine that bridge would be crossed by other people, and then the final output will not show that you are dyslexic.
Unfortunately, I did not choose the very best editor. They were a copywriter as well. The changes that they wanted to make were not as significant as they could have been.
Okay.
And so the book could have been better. I'm busy rewriting it at the moment, but I'm rewriting it from the perspective of what does leadership look like, because it's a book about leadership, but what does leadership look like for somebody who's dyslexic and ADHD?
Interesting.
From the perspective that we see things, because we see things differently. If you had to speak to Richard Branson, for example, and you had to ask him, how does he present him with a problem? So present him with a problem and present the same problem to a CEO who's not dyslexic.
Yeah, they will interpret it completely differently.
Completely different, because as somebody who's dyslexic, somebody who's ADHD, we don't see a box. Most people fit into a box and they see things in a particular way. We look outside of that.
Yes. Well, it's just a completely different angle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I went to Plymouth College of Art about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of artists, designers do suffer with dyslexia and dyscalculia.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of support,
Yeah.
which is now the Art University of Plymouth.
Yeah.
I think their new name. One of my immediate course mates was dating a lad from another course.
Okay.
And he was I think he was in a graphic designer or an illustrator, one of the two.
Yeah.
And he put together a leaflet or like a magazine or something. And it was, for me, barely readable. But the letters were also different shapes and sizes. And it was, once you figured it out, it was readable. And he said, that's how I see the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all over the place kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you present just normal printed text to him, that's kind of like that all over the thing for me.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting conversation.
It's kind of, I always say to people, if you think of somebody that's got ADHD, for example, and think of 1,000 screens in a cinema, okay? 1,000 screens, each one playing a different movie, okay? The person is trying to decide which movie they want to watch. And the minute they decide that that's the movie they're going to watch, everything changes. That's what it's like in a dyslexic's brain. It's that fast moving. It's millions and millions and millions of thoughts a second more than people that don't have ADHD, for example. So it's not, and now we're moving a little bit onto ADHD, but we'll get back to what we're going to talk about in a minute.
The next question is on the tip of my tongue, so
Okay, so if you think of ADHD in that kind of context, you can see why we see the world differently. Because there's so many thoughts that we are trying to process. We have a different kaleidoscope to look at when we look at something. So it's all over the place. It's all random. It's all different. And it moves so fast. And it changes all the time.